This story is about the deadliest weapons in the universe, not machines or lasers, but humans. Jenny is a fierce young warrior captured by a powerful alien group called the Vel Consortium. But help is on the way. Reuben Scour, a tough, scarred soldier with a strong will, comes to rescue her. Together, they fight through danger and discover a secret plan to create an army of cloned human soldiers. This story is full of action, emotion, and the strength of human spirit, showing that what makes humans dangerous is not technology, but their stubborn courage and heart. The Vel Consortium prison ship, malevolent gesture, smelled like defeat. It was a cold, sterile smell, sharp and clean, designed to make prisoners feel sick. The ship's AI pumped out smells that each species hated most. For humans, it was hospital halls mixed with spoiled milk. Jenny had been breathing it for 6 long hours. 6 hours of silence, pain, and waiting. Her wrists burned where the energy shackles held her. The constant hum sent waves of pain up her arms and into her muscles. Every time they let her out, the shackles reminded her of their power. She wasn't just a prisoner. She was their prize. Worth millions of credits. The consortium believed she had special powers, genetic modifications, enhanced reflexes, or strange combat abilities. Jenny knew better. She was just a human. Trained hard, yes. Made strong by years of survival and violence. But no magic, no tech, no miracles. Just a girl who had learned to fight when everything else failed. The metal door to her cell opened with a wet, awful sound. 2 men stepped in. Middle managers, their suits stiff and their faces empty of kindness. They tried to seem important, walking in perfect step like a dance that had lost its rhythm. "The asset is awake," said the one named Supervisor Kelvix. His voice was flat, trying to sound commanding but failing. "The asset has a name," Jenny said, biting back the pain from her aching wrists. "It's Go, __, yourself. First name Go, last name yourself." The __, is silent. The 2 supervisors blinked, confusion crossing their dull faces. Jenny smirked. They thought she was just a prize, a product to sell to the highest bidder. 40 million credits, they said. The Earth Defense Directorate had given up on her, but Director Kosum and the Masters Vale in Viet had buyers who wanted her. Jenny laughed, harsh and bitter. "You kidnapped me for superpowers? That's adorable. Did you really believe in Santa Claus? Or a competent galactic government?" Kelvix tilted his head. "You say you have no enhancements." Jenny leaned forward, shackles restricting her movement. "I'm enhanced all right. Enhanced by a childhood of eating meals older than some star systems. Enhanced by drill sergeants who thought child psychology meant hitting you with sticks. Enhanced by 6,000 hours of combat sims where the victory condition was everyone else dies." Her grin was sharp, a knife hidden in shadow. "I'm not a weapon, boys. I'm what happens when you give a perfectly normal girl nothing but violence, and then act surprised when she gets good at it. I'm human." The supervisors shared a glance, concern replacing confusion. One started to say something about increasing security. Then the whole ship rang like a bell. It wasn't an explosion. It was the sound of someone hitting reinforced steel with something very hard, angry and full of purpose. The supervisors' faces went pale, and Jenny's grin grew wider. "That sounds like someone just kicked in your door with a fake leg," she said. "Which means you're about to meet a real enhanced human. He hates flying, and he really hates chasing me across the galaxy." Another impact came, louder this time. Gunfire and screams in at least 6 languages echoed through the corridors. The supervisor stammered, Who is it?" "Reuben Scar," Jenny said, savoring their fear. 5 feet 2 of concentrated mean. Lost his leg in the Orion skirmish. Lost his patience 40 years ago. Killed 3 sectoid ambassadors with a dinner fork because they interrupted his poker game. The Alliance Council declared him a natural disaster. The lights flickered, alarms screamed, and chaos spread. Boots marched slowly but surely toward her cell, not running. Someone who didn't hurry because everything in their way was already dead. "He's coming for me," Jenny said. "And when he finds out you put me in shackles that hurt my teeth, he's going to get creative." The supervisor stumbled back toward the door, calling guards in panic. Then the door exploded inward, blown apart by a guard strapped with explosives and kicked through it. Smoke swirled and cleared to reveal a figure small but terrifying, Reuben Scar. His scarred muscles tensed, his military armor battered but functional. His prosthetic leg clanked as he stood, eyes burning with rage. 40 million credits, he growled. "That's what you idiots paid to kidnap her. I killed the Primarch for half that, and he had the decency to fight." The supervisors tried to speak, but fear had robbed them of words. Reuben ignored them. He turned to Jenny, studying the shackles and the way she held herself. His face shifted from anger to something darker. "Did they hurt you?" he asked gruffly. Jenny nodded. "The shackles, the frequency makes my teeth ache." Reuben pulled a weapon from his belt, a sawed-off shotgun, or maybe an explosive device. "Close your eyes, kid," he said. "I've seen worse." Jenny protested, but he cut the shackles free in seconds, the plasma cutter's glow burning through the energy bonds. She rubbed her wrists, feeling blood return to her fingers. "How'd you find me?" she asked. Reuben checked his weapons, old habits dying hard. "You think I taught you combat philosophy and xenobiology for 8 years just to let some 2-credit organ runners get away with you? I put a tracker in your MR, a fake one." Jenny frowned. "Well, it took you long enough." Reuben grinned, the rough edge softening for a moment. "You're welcome." He handed her a pistol. "Safety's off. Magazine's full. Anyone who isn't us dies." Jenny grinned back, hungry for revenge. Together, they tore through the ship. Reuben's clanking prosthetic leg became a sound that warned death was near. Jenny covered their backs, shooting anything that moved. Reuben missed her sometimes, but he wasn't about to admit it. They moved like a storm, leaving a trail of broken bodies and shattered hopes. In the chaos, Jenny felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. Maybe this was more than just survival. Maybe this was family. The corridors shook with every shot and explosion. The malevolent gesture was no longer a prison ship, it was a war zone. Reuben moved like a force of nature, his prosthetic leg pounding the floor with the promise of destruction. Every step was a statement, "Don't mess with Earth's children." Jenny followed close, eyes sharp, fingers steady on her pistol. Her body still ached from the shackles, but adrenaline drowned out the pain. Around them, the alien guards scrambled to organize a defense, but their faces showed panic. They had never faced warriors like these, warriors born, not built. Reuben kicked down a door, sending it crashing into the room behind it. 2 guards raised weapons, but Reuben was faster. A spray of bullets, sharp and deadly, ended the fight before it began. Jenny stepped forward, sending 3 rounds into a third guard who thought he could flank them. "Nice shot," Reuben grunted, checking his ammo. "You're getting better." Jenny smirked, wiping sweat and blood from her brow. "Better than you at following orders." He laughed, a rough, gravelly sound, and ruffled her hair. She grimaced but let him. The ship's AI was going into lockdown. Alarms blared, blast doors slammed shut, and security drones activated. The consortium's best were coming. Reuben glanced at the navigation console, where a map of the ship showed blinking red dots, enemy positions closing in fast. "We're headed for the bridge," Jenny said. "That's where they keep the genetic samples." Reuben nodded. "If they're making clones, that's the heart of it. We hit it, we stopped the factory." As they advanced, Jenny's mind raced. The consortium wasn't just holding her captive. They were building something dangerous, an army of human clones with no soul, no choice. A weapon born in a lab, controlled by cold orders. But she and Reuben knew the truth. Humans were more than DNA and training. They were chaos, heart, spirit. And that couldn't be copied. Do you think they really believe they can build soldiers like us? Jenny asked as they ducked behind a bulkhead, exchanging fire with a group of guards. Reuben shrugged. They think DNA is everything. They don't get the rest. Jenny reloaded and took out another guard. Rest? Reuben's eyes narrowed. The part that makes us stubborn. Mean. Unstoppable. The next corridor was blocked by a heavy blast door, sealed tight. Reuben pulled out a device, part explosive, part hacking tool. He set the charges with practiced hands and stepped back. Get ready, he said. This is going to get loud. The door exploded inward with a deafening boom, sending a shockwave through the hull. Shouts and curses echoed as enemy troops swarmed in. Reuben charged, weapon blazing. Jenny covered his six, picking off anyone who tried to flank them. Time slowed for Jenny, each heartbeat sharp and clear. The dance of combat was brutal but precise. She felt alive, alive in a way no simulator had ever taught her. Then, a harsh voice rang out over the station's PA system. Cold, mocking, familiar. Well, well. Captain Scour. I heard you were dead. Reuben stopped, cocking his head. Disappointing people is my hobby. The voice continued, I am Director Kosum, head of biological acquisitions for the VEL Consortium. And you are trespassing in my domain. Tell Kosum he's about to be trespassed out, Reuben said, spitting on the floor. The blast doors behind them sealed again, but Jenny and Reuben pressed on. They fought through waves of guards, their path marked by destruction. Kosum's laughter echoed through speakers. You cannot stop progress. Our clones are already deployed, moving through the station. They will finish this. Jenny's heart sank. Clones, human copies trained to kill, without understanding, without mercy. She glanced at Reuben. What do we do? We finish what we started, Reuben growled. And we remind them who owns the night. They pushed forward, breaking into the command center. Kosum stood there, flanked by two identical figures, the twins Vale and Vate, perfect copies in every way, cold and synchronized. You're too late, Kosum said, smiling cruelly. Our soldiers are ready. Reuben didn't hesitate. He fired, shooting Kosum in the knee. The director collapsed, wailing. Vale and Vate moved in unison, deadly and fast. But Jenny was faster. She plunged a knife into Vale's throat as Reuben shot Vate center mass. The twins fell together, synchronized even in death. The command center's screens flickered, then burst to life, broadcasting something unexpected, sounds of Earth. Children laughing, dogs barking, traffic noises, voices yelling about dinner. It was chaos, raw, human, unfiltered. The clones froze, weapons lowering. Something stirred inside them. They looked confused, lost. It's home, Jenny said softly. It's what being human means. Vale's voice crackled, they have been reprogrammed. They will obey. No, Jenny said. Humans don't obey. We choose. One clone stepped forward, eyes wide. I don't want to fight anymore. I hear it. The sound. Reuben smiled. That sound is hope. One by one, clones lowered their weapons. Some slipped away into the station's shadows, others stayed. Reuben addressed them. I'm Captain Reuben Scour. I'm old, mean, and have a ship. You have three choices, stay here and figure things out. Come with us and maybe find a purpose. Or fight. And I'll respect the attempt. The clone looked at Jenny. What do we do? Jenny smiled. We learn what it means to be human. The station began to collapse around them as Tess, their cyber specialist, set the reactor to overload. They ran, chaos all around. Explosions rocked the graveyard of ships, consuming the station in nuclear fire. Back on the Duchess of Malevolence, the crew gathered. Goran, the disgraced senator, watched the clones with surprise and hope. "We have much work ahead," Reuben said, cracking his knuckles. "This isn't over." Jenny looked around. This ragtag group was her family now, broken, fierce, human. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying Earth's children home. The Duchess of Malevolence slipped through hyperspace, carrying a cargo heavier than any ship had ever held, 300 confused, scared clones, copies of humanity's deadliest warriors. They weren't soldiers yet. They were children trapped in bodies trained to kill, torn between instinct and identity. Jenny sat near the observation deck, watching stars streak by. The weight of everything pressed down on her chest. She thought about the consortia's plan, mass-producing soldiers without a soul, without choice. That was their mistake. Their people, she whispered. Not weapons. Reuben leaned against the wall nearby, his gaze distant but sharp. "You're right. And that's why they scare everyone. Because humans don't know when to quit, or how to give up. We fight, till the last breath, till the last bullet." Jenny glanced at him, catching the pain beneath his toughness. "Do you think they'll ever be ready? To live? To be more than soldiers?" Reuben grunted. "They'll have to learn. Like the rest of us." A sudden beep pulled Jenny's attention. Tess, their cyber specialist, was at the console, fingers flying over holographic screens. "We got a problem," Tess said, voice tense. "The Vel Consortium isn't done. They're sending reinforcements. A fleet. And this time, they're bringing something new." Reuben's eyes narrowed. "New?" Tess nodded. "Heavy hitters. Battleships with orbital weapons. They want their investment back. And they want it bad." Jenny stood, heart pounding. "They won't get it." Reuben cracked his knuckles. "Good. Let's make sure they don't." The crew gathered in the briefing room. Goran, the disgraced senator, looked grim. "This is bigger than we thought," he said. "The consortium plans to reclaim their assets, no matter the cost." Maddie, the young warrior fresh from training, clenched her fists. "We're outnumbered." Reuben smiled, sharp and dangerous. "Yeah, well, that's the point. We don't do odds. We do chaos." The clones shuffled into the room, faces unreadable but eyes curious. Jenny stepped forward. "This isn't just a fight for survival. It's a fight for who we are. For what it means to be human." One clone, younger than most, spoke. "I don't want to be a weapon anymore." Jenny's voice softened. "Then you won't be. We'll teach you how to live, how to fight for something more." Training began immediately. The Duchess became a school, a home, a battlefield. Jenny led drills, teaching the clones more than combat. She taught them to feel, to choose. Reuben watched, sometimes gruff, sometimes proud. "They're learning," he said. "Slow, but they're learning." But not everyone was ready. One clone, hardened and cold, resisted. He challenged orders, pushed boundaries. Reuben took him aside. "You're scared," Reuben said quietly. "I get it. But fear's no excuse to lose yourself." The clone spat. "I'm not like you. I'm made for war." Reuben's eyes burned. "War's not what makes you human. It's what you do when it's over." Meanwhile, Tess fought a digital war. She hacked consortium communications, planting false data and disrupting supply lines. Every move bought them time. "Got another transmission," Tess said. "They're planning an attack on Earth's orbit." They want to crush any resistance. Jenny's heart clenched. Earth, the only home she had left. The thought of it under threat fueled a fire inside her. We have to stop them, she said. Reuben nodded. Then we go to war. The Duchess changed course, heading back toward Earth. The ship was no longer a vessel of escape, it was a weapon. In the war room, Jenny studied the star maps. Enemy fleets closed in fast. They had to act smart. Reuben paced. We don't have their firepower. But we've got something they don't, human unpredictability. A sudden alarm blared. The ship shook violently. Incoming! Tess shouted. Consortium fighters. They're on us. The battle was brutal. Laser blasts tore through the void, explosions lighting the darkness. The Duchess shuddered under fire. Reuben took command, barking orders. Jenny fought alongside the clones, her pistols blazing. In the chaos, one clone faltered, frozen by fear. Jenny reached him, grabbing his arm. Fight, she whispered. Fight for yourself. He nodded, firing back with new strength. The battle raged, but the Duchess held. The consortium fighters were forced to retreat. Exhausted but alive, the crew gathered. That was close, Maddie said, wiping blood from her lip. Reuben smiled grimly. Close isn't good enough. Jenny looked out at the stars, determination hardening. We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for humanity. The clones around her nodded, faces set with new purpose. The war was far from over. The Duchess of Malevolence cruised closer to Earth's orbit, the blue planet glowing softly beneath them. For Jenny, it was more than a target, it was home. A place worth fighting for. Inside the ship, the clones moved with new purpose. They weren't just soldiers, they were learning to be something more. But that journey was fragile. Some struggled with the ghosts of their training, haunted by memories they never lived. Jenny watched one clone, younger than the rest, sitting alone. His eyes were distant, his hands trembling. She sat beside him. What's your name? He hesitated. I don't know. That's okay, she said gently. We'll find one together. He looked at her, hope flickering. Meanwhile, Reuben prepared for the battle ahead. His scars told stories of wars long past, but the fire in his eyes burned as bright as ever. This fight's going to get worse before it gets better, he said, voice rough. The consortium won't back down. Goran, the senator, joined them. We have allies on Earth. Resistance groups ready to help. But time is short. Jenny nodded. Then we make every second count. Tess was at the console, fingers flying. I've hacked into the consortium's fleet. We can disrupt their command for a few minutes. That's our window. The ship's alarm sounded again. Enemy ships approaching fast, Tess warned. Reuben's voice was calm but fierce. Battle stations. Let's show them why humans don't quit. The space around Earth erupted in chaos. The consortium's fleet emerged, dark shapes against the stars, weapons primed. The Duchess dove into the fray, dodging blasts and returning fire. Jenny moved with lethal grace, directing clones who were still learning but eager to prove themselves. Explosions rocked the ship as enemy fighters broke through the defenses. Inside, the crew fought desperately, repairing systems and holding the line. Amid the battle, Jenny spotted the young clone from before, frozen in fear. She grabbed his arm, pulling him into the fight. Fight for yourself, she shouted. He hesitated, then raised his weapon, firing at an enemy fighter. The moment shifted. Fear gave way to fierce determination. Reuben led a counterattack, using every trick he knew. His prosthetic leg slammed the deck with purpose, a drumbeat of destruction. The battle was brutal and close. The consortium was relentless, their soldiers ruthless. But the Duchess and her crew held fast. In the command center, Jenny and Reuben watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet was faltering. "Keep pressing," Reuben urged. "Make them pay for every inch." Suddenly, the ship jolted violently. "Hull breach in Section 3. Tess shouted. Jenny grabbed her weapon and raced to help. The clones followed, fighting off intruders trying to exploit the breach. The fight was personal. Every life on board mattered. Later, as the battle cooled, Jenny stood on the observation deck, staring at Earth. The planet looked peaceful, unaware of the war raging above. Reuben joined her, lighting a cigar despite the ship's warnings. "You okay, kid?" he asked. Jenny nodded. "More than okay. Ready." Reuben smiled, rare and genuine. "Good. Because this is just the beginning." The Duchess had won this fight, but the war was far from over. Back on the ship, the clones gathered. Some were still struggling with their new identities, but many had found strength in their shared fight. Jenny addressed them. "You're not weapons. You're people. And people fight for what they love." One clone stepped forward. "I want to be more than a soldier." Jenny smiled. "Then you will." Reuben looked on, pride mixing with worry. The road ahead was long and dangerous. But they weren't alone. Together, they would face whatever came next. The Duchess of Malevolence glided through the shadows of space, carrying a family forged in fire and blood. Earth's orbit was calm now, but the war was far from over. The Vel Consortium's threat lingered, a dark cloud waiting to strike again. Jenny stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the blue planet below. The weight of everything they had fought for pressed heavy on her. This was home. This was why they fought. Reuben entered, his presence solid and steady. "We've made enemies today who won't forget. They'll come back harder." Jenny nodded. "Then we'll be ready." The clones gathered around, faces a mix of fear, hope, and determination. They were no longer empty vessels. They had choice. They had purpose. Goran stepped forward. "We need a plan. The consortium won't stop until they have their army, or Earth." Maddie, sharp and fierce, added, "We fight smarter. Hit their resources, their supply lines. Cut the head off the snake." Tess worked the consoles, her fingers flying. "I've been tracing communications. There's a facility in the Orion sector. The heart of their cloning operations." Reuben's eyes burned. "Then that's where we go." Preparations began. The Duchess was no longer just a ship, it was a beacon of resistance. Soldiers trained, strategies planned, weapons loaded. Jenny found the young clone who had struggled the most. She knelt beside him. "You ready?" He nodded, gripping his weapon. "I want to fight. Not just for survival, but for who I am." She smiled. "That's what makes you human." The journey to Orion was tense. Every moment was shadowed by the threat of attack. When they arrived, the facility loomed, a fortress of steel and secrets. Enemy ships guarded it fiercely. Reuben stood tall. Time to remind them who owns the galaxy. They launched their assault with controlled fury. Explosions lit the dark void as the Duchess tore through enemy lines. Inside the facility, Jenny and the clones fought through corridors filled with enemies. Every step was hard-won, every breath a battle. They reached the cloning chambers, rows of pods filled with sleeping soldiers, potential lives waiting to be born. Jenny's heart ached. These were children too, trapped before they'd lived. "We have to shut this down," she said. Reuben nodded, planting explosives with Tess covering their backs. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Reinforcements poured in. The fight grew desperate. Jenny faced a squad of soldiers, clones like them but still loyal to the consortium. She hesitated, seeing herself in their eyes. Fight with me, she urged. Fight for yourself. Some lowered weapons. Others attacked. The battle raged, brutal and raw. Explosions rocked the facility as the charges detonated, destroying the cloning pods and severing the consortium's lifeline. The survivors fled as the fortress crumbled. Back on the Duchess, the crew watched the destruction, knowing they'd dealt a severe blow. But Reuben's voice was grim. They'll rebuild. They always do. Jenny looked out at the stars, feeling something new, hope. We've won today, she said softly. But the fight for who we are, that's just beginning. Reuben smiled, a rare softness breaking through. And we'll face it together. The clones gathered, no longer weapons but people. They were ready to find their place in the galaxy, to build a life from the ashes of war. Jenny felt the weight of family around her, rough, broken, fierce. They were Earth's deadliest weapons, not because of technology or genetics, but because they refused to be anything less than human. As the Duchess of Malevolence jumped into hyperspace, heading toward new battles and new hope, Jenny whispered to the stars, "We are not built. We are born. And we will never stop fighting for who we are."